All right, let's get started. We will start with creating the project by using Cabal. So make sure you have Cabal installed as well as JSC. So if you want to install it, you can install it using GHC cup. You will find the how to install it GHC up from the Haskell's official website. So I'm going to say Cabal init to initialize the project. I will pick library plus executable, all the basic stuff, nothing fancy. Package name, it should be the same as the directory name, blog app. Uh, any license is fine. It's going to be a web-based project. We'll pick three, that is GHC 2021, app, again three. Let's have test suite as well. Okay. Now you can see that for our Haskell project, the basic directory structure has been created. Okay, let me open the directory. So here we have first of all, we have two folders, app and source. So the code for the executable will be stored inside this app, more specifically in this main. Okay, so when you will say Cabal build, it will create the executable. And when you try to run that executable, it will start from this main. Then in source, uh, whatever you whatever is the code that you have defined in the library that will be exposed to the main will be stored inside this source folder. Most of our logic, most of our code will be inside this source. Then we have our blog app.cabal file, inside of which, first of all, we will mention what are the modules that we have in our source folder, as well as what are the packages that we are required. So let's start by adding the package. First things first, we are going to need text. The next thing we are going to need is Scotty, which is the framework we will be using. Third is we are going to be using SQLite Simple, which is the mid-level library for us to deal with the database side. And let's start with this much, and we will go keep adding packages as we go ahead. Next thing I want to do is I want to in our directory, in our source directory, I want to start have a another directory. It's going to be usually our main package. It should have the same name as our project name. So I will create a directory. I'm going to name it the same name as our project, that is blog app. Make sure the first letter is capital. Then I'm going to have a .hs file, which is going to be, let's call it core, because it is going to be our main file. So the model name will become blog app.core, where let me have a test function to see if it is working perfectly. And I will call it from our main. So let me just import blog app.core, and I will name it as B, and then I'm going to call b.test. Also, in our Cabal file, we need to add that module name that we have just added, which is blog app dot code, so that our executable, that is main.hs, will be able to access it. So let's hit Cabal run, and you can see hello there. This is from our core file. Okay, so let's just go through this Scotty web framework, and I just want to start with getting this Scotty web framework up and running and just sort of play with it. What are some get route, post routes before we dive into our project? So I will just copy this code and add it here. So this overloaded strings extension will go at the top. We are going to need this web.scotty library. Uh, okay, we'll have a main function in this core library as well and this function we will be calling it from our main .hs. So this is the Scotty function. This takes port number. I want to set port number at 8080. Then you can see we have a route called slash, and this is a placeholder. So this is basically a path param that will be get captured. I don't want to use this. Let's just have a simple one. Let's have a slash. That will be our home route, and it will return a simple text saying hello from Scotty. Okay. It is saying that the top level binding is missing. So let's just add it. Min IO. Okay. So let's just try running it. Let me just call main from here. Sekabal run. Okay, it is saying that setting port 8080, it has started. So let's just go over here. Localhost port 8080. Hello from Scotty. So we are getting our message. So let me just go inside web.scotty package and let's see what are the functions that we have. This is the function that we just saw. It takes the Scotty, it takes the port number and it takes the Scotty M unit application and it returns an IO unit. This is basically where our warp server starts. Then these are the routes. We just saw a get route, which takes a route pattern. That is nothing but this slash. Then we have post, put, delete, patch options, and so on. We also have not found and nested and all that. Uh, so let's just define some more routes. Let's have about and let's have contact. Now, when we use this, it is giving me error because we need to have this inside a do notation. So we have here we are returning. Let's type here hello from about and hello from contact. So again, all three are returning text. So if you go here, you can see we have text here. Just like text, we have HTML, file, JSON, and even raw. So with we have seen the example of text. I want to see HTML. So if I type HTML here and I go h1 slash h1 and I rerun this, and I think it was about. You can see we got our text in the HTML format. So that's how you can send the HTML data. Also, there is JSON. We just need to make sure that whatever the data that we are sending, it needs to have a to.json instance. So that is there. Now, what we want to do in our application is that we just open up a README file. I don't think we have a README file here, so let's just create one. Okay, so in our Scotty application, I want to define some routes. First of all, I want to define a register route where users can sign up. Okay. Then I want to have a login route where users can log in, those who have registered. Okay. Then I want to, on our home page, I actually want to see all the blogs that has been created by all the sort of users. So basically all blogs I would like to see. Then let's say I want to see a specific blog, then I want to have a URL called blog slash ID. Okay. Here, basically, this ID is going to be the ID of the blog, and I want to basically see that blog with its description and everything. Then I also want to define some, uh, these are all the get routes. Okay. Then I also want to have some post, put, delete routes. So, for example, one for add post, the other one for update post, another one for delete the post. So that's really my sort of idea for this application. We will need a database. As I said, I will be using SQLite Simple. This is the library. Here I will have just two tables. First one for users, where I will be storing stuff like user ID. This will be auto generated. Then I would just have user email and the user. I will also have username and user email and user password. Then in the post in the blog table, I will just have blog ID. This will be auto generated. Blog title and then the blog content. Finally, I would also like to have the timestamp from which basically at what point this blog got created. Then finally, I would also like to have the user ID, basically the user who created this blog. So every blog will be associated with its creator. So let's just get started with creating the database. So I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to create a database for the blog app. I'm going to call it blog app DB. Uh, and I'm going to create a table for users. So I'm going to say create table users. There will be user ID, which will be an integer primary key. I'm going to have it as auto incremented. Then I'm going to have username. Let's have it as varchar 30. Then user email, which would be let's say varchar 50. Finally, we'll have user password, which we will have it as text because we will be storing this password in a hashed format. Uh, Looks like I need underscore here. Sorry, my bad. It should be primary key and then auto increment. So if we did not mention auto increment here at all, it will still get auto incremented because in SQLite, if it is the type is integer and a primary key, it will get auto incremented by default. Same goes for blog. So I'm going to say create table blogs, um, where we'll have block ID, which would be an integer, primary key, then block title. So we will give it the limit of 100 characters. Then block content. It would be unlimited, so I will give it text. Timestamp. I would have the type as. Just give me a second. So we are using SQLite simple. So I just need to make sure that for the timestamp, we should have the correct type, correct supported type. So for the conversion, you can see to and from UTC. Uh, SQLite's datetime allows various ways. So I guess datetime would be fine because we will be using UTC time uh, type for our Haskell type. So I don't think we will have any problem while using datetime. So I'm going to go datetime. Finally, we will have our user ID, which would be it will be an integer type, which will be a reference to users type, um, references, users, user ID on delete cascade means if the user ID row got deleted, its corresponding blocks should also get deleted. Okay, let's just see. Users, we don't have anything. From blogs, we don't have anything. That's fine. So this much part is done. Now, what I want to do is when I need to have a route called register on which I would like to see a HTML page which would contain, a form from which users can actually sign up. They would enter information, and on our backend, we will receive that information. We would verify it whether the email already does not exist, whether the password and the confirmed password are same or not, all that stuff. And if everything is fine, we would insert the user's information in our SQLite table. So before we go into that, what I want to do is I want to separate out these functions. So you can see that we have this get, then the route, and we are just having this text. Instead of this, instead of this, I want to have a separate function which would get called when we hit this URL. So let's just see if I deleted this. And if I deleted this, I created a hole here. Let's see what error I get. So it says that it requires a function that has action m unit type. So let's create a function. We are here for the home route. So I'm going to create a home R function, which will have the action m unit type. So home R will return us basically a text that says home here, something like this. And I'm going to have home R here. All good. Next, as I said, I want a register page that will go to register R. So register R, it will return us an action M unit and register R. Now, what will register R would contain? Now, I can write an entire HTML string in here, but that would be lengthy. I go here. Let me just start it again. If I go here, register. You can see this is the sign up page. Now I cannot have the entire page, entire HTML page in here. I need to find a better page. So there is a library called Blaze HTML, and Blaze markup as well. These two are different packages. We will be needing both the packages. So if you go here and look at this, Blaze HTML5 and Blaze HTML5 attributes. So these are basically nothing but the Haskell functions, which would get converted into the HTML type. So this is something that we can use. So let's use it. First of all, we need to add it in our Cabal file, the Blaze HTML and Blaze markup. Then, so what should I do? Let me just create a different module in our source called HTML, where I will store all the HTML. Okay, let's let it be all capital. Module log app dot HTML, where I would have page like register page that would return a markup. Register page, and let's be undefined for a second. I need to add it in our Cabal file for the GSCID to get notice. HTML. Okay, it is saying markup not found. Markup is here, text blaze. You can see prelude. Okay, render markup. Okay, okay, markup unit. So we need to import. First of all, we need to have this overloaded string extension. Then hiding prelude. Okay, sure, we'll hide it. And we don't really, let's get this render markup. And we don't want these two HTML4. We want the HTML5 variant, that is this. Okay, the error is gone. And now it is saying that render markup is unnecessary. So we will remove it. Okay, all good. Now I will call um, that register page from our code. So I'm going to say import blog app HTML. It is saying unnecessary. Instead of this, I'm going to call the register page. Okay, now it is expecting a lazy variant of the text here, because the HTML function, Scotty's HTML function takes the lazy text, but what we are returning is a markup unit. Okay, so we should convert this markup unit into the lazy variant of text. So I assume we have added the package, text package, data text lazy as, and I'm just going to import text. First of all, this is cool. This is fine as well. So yeah, from register page, we are returning the text, but we need to make sure that when we start writing code here, we need to convert whatever the markup is into a text format. And I think our Blaze text gives us, it returns a markup, but we have a function that will convert from markup to a text. So let me see where can I find it. There is a function called render markup. So let me just search. What is it? Okay, there is a function called render markup that converts markup to text, but I just need to make sure whether it is the lazy variant or not. Yes, it is. It converts it into the lazy variant. So let me just have this import. Let's just have it here. And the function that we'll be using is this render markup. And then here, from here onwards, we can actually start writing our code. So if I say HTML and then I went body, then I went an H1 tag and I said hello from register. Okay, all good. Let me just rerun it. And if I went here and I did refresh, you can see hello from register. So from here we can write our HTML code. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to have a heading that will say register. Then I want to have a form. So in HTML5, I think I have a form. The thing is, I have form in both HTML5 attributes and in our normal HTML5. So yeah, right now we are not importing HTML5 attributes. Okay, so we will have the page as register. It will have the heading. Don't worry about um, it not having any style or anything. At the end, we will revamp the UI of these pages, but right now we'll just focus on the functionality. So I will have attributes. Yes, attributes, and I will name it as HA and as H. Okay, as in the HTML and HTML attribute. So I'm going to mention HA dot form, and I want to give it some attributes. Usually in the form, we will have method and action. So this is the way to define that this is an attribute. So the attribute, sorry, it should be a function. The attribute HA dot, I would say method. Method is going to be uh, basically whether it is going to be get or post. So when I will click on the button submit, it should send a post request containing the user data such as password and all those things. So it should be a post request. Then HA dot action at what route I should send it. It should be slash let's say add user. Okay. So these two are right now enough. Then now I will have the first sort of input. Before that, I would like to have a label. Let me just, let's see what happens. This will be empty do block. Okay, so far so good. Let me have label that will say, what do we want to take? We want to take a username. Then I will have a BR tag. Okay, now label is confused, so it is going to be an H, the tag. Okay, so far so good. Now I want to have input. Let me just quickly check what is input. Uh, Input, I guess it is not part of attribute, so I can just directly use input here. So input is there. Um, so input will have an attribute called type. It's not going to be type, it's going to be type underscore because it seems like type is it is a Haskell keyword. So I'm going to use type underscore. It is going to be an attribute. Uh, so the type is going to be text. I want to take the username and I will give it a name that is going to be it's going to be username. Okay, and I think that's enough. Perfect. Now let's just repeat these three things. For user email, the difference is that the type is going to be an email. So we will get some validations from the HTML side as well. It's going to be an email. Let's copy these three things. Let's type it again. Now I want to have got username, email. I want to have password. The type is going to be password as well. And I will give it user password, the name. Copy again, paste it here. I will call it confirm password. And the type is again going to be password. The name, I will give it user confirm password. Confirm password is also fine. It's not a big deal. Finally, I will have another input. It's going to be a button. Um, its type is going to be, I guess, submit, and I will give it a value. So I'm just going to call it register. I'm not sure if it's the correct approach, but let's figure it out. Okay, if I go here and if I hit refresh, yeah, it's a pretty basic. Okay, I made a mistake. I should have given the BR tag after the input. So let's fix that. Okay, I think, I mean, it will work right now. We just want to send the request. So register, there is username, user email, password, confirm password. If I type something, some stuff here, and if I hit register, it is not working because um, instead of the input, it should have been button whose type is submit, and I will give it the value register. I guess it got confused on what button is. Uh, we don't need the value for button. It will not have value, but it is going to have the text button. Yeah. So let's go over here. We'll type something, something. And if I hit register, it is still not working. Let me see why. Okay, got it. The thing is, Firefox is not giving me the proper errors. It turns out that, it we have defined the user email input field as email, so it was expecting there to have correct email format that is at the rate, and then there should be some .com or something. And if I hit register, it is sending a add user post request. If you look at the request body, you can see there is a form data containing username, email, password, and confirm password. So we can pick up this payload in our Scotty backend, and we can actually perform the adding the verification and adding this data into our database part. So let's do that. We have defined the route slash add user as a post request. So let's go into our core and have that post slash add user. This will call the function, let's say add user R, where R stands for resource. So it will be action M. Oops. There are now how to get basically this form data. Let's go into Scotty and see. So there's lots of stuff here, but we are expecting this. Uh, okay, we have form param. This is exception. Okay, this is what we are going to need because this will give us the form data. So I'm going to say form param, and I'm going to mention the names that we defined here. That is the name, email, password, confirm password. So username, email, password, and confirm password. Let's define so username, user email, user password, and user confirm password. Okay, we got all this for data, and all we have to do is now we have to do some checks. Uh, that is, first one is that the email should not be already existed in our database. If that is the case, we can just show a message that listen, the email already exists. Please try again, something like that. If the email does not exist, then we can simply insert the data. There's another check that is the username. Username should be unique. You can do that check as well, but I will leave that as a sort of homework. So let's set a function called fetch user by email. We will pass in the user email function to it, and I will get something user list out of it. If the user, I'm going to do a case matching here. If the user exists, right? If the user is empty, then it's all good. Then we can actually insert the data. I'm going to say insert user data with all these four fields: user name, user email, user password, user confirm password. We don't need to have user confirm password. Um, so that's really all we are going to need. There's one important thing that I forgot, that is in our SQLite table, we have mentioned the timestamp, but we are not really going to be inserting the timestamp explicitly. We will just have a default value that is now. So whenever we are going to make an entry there, it will automatically insert that data. So I guess I just have to drop the table. Uh, oh, in users, we don't really have the timestamp, but in blogs, we do have. So let me just drop the table blogs and just copy this, add it here again. And in case of date time, I'm just going to say default now. I guess it's, let me just check. Okay, it should be current timestamp. Okay, all good. Yeah, so we would be inserting the user data if the email already does not exist. So another thing, user password, it should be hashed, but we will refactor that at the end. So yeah, if it does not exist, we will insert the data and we will sort of redirect to our home page. If in the case that it does exist, we will basically just show on our browser an error message saying that user email already exists. That is good enough. Now let's write these two functions: fetch user by email and insert user data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new module in source blog app. I'm going to give it name query because all our SQLite queries, SQLite query functions will be in here. It will be module, blog app, query, where what was the function name? It will be fetch user by email. So here, paste this in. The next thing was insert user data. Or I'm just going to say insert user. I think that makes more sense. Oops. So we have feature fetch user by email and insert. Oh, it should be insert user. Uh, yeah, insert user. And also I will have this module in our Cabal file so that GHCI ID can pick it up. So it should give us even more errors now. And while we are at it, I should import this query module in our code. That's great. Fetch user by email. So now let's write our SQLite code. So you can see this is our SQLite function. Basically, example, we need this database.sqlite.simple, and we are going to need overloaded string extension as well. So now let's just import this and fetch user by email. It is going to take a email, which is nothing but a text, and it is going to return an IO list of users. Now, I should have done this earlier, but we need to create a type. Basically, in order to insert that type from the database into our Haskell application and from our Haskell application into our database. So we need to have two types. First one is the user type. Second one is the block type in order to do the database transaction. So let me just create an even newer model, a newer module called types. It's not actually necessary, but we can have so that we can import this types module in all our functionality, in all our other modules. So we'll have module blog app dot types where I'm going to create a type called user, which will be user that will have a user name. It will be text. Then I like these commas here. Username. What else? Uh, what else we have? User email, which is also going to be text, and finally user password. Now, while deriving, in order to convert this type into the basically SQLite understandable type, which is going to the byte string, we need to write an instance. Now, in order to avoid writing an explicit instance, we can use generics. So we will do that. Show generics, and it needs to have a I would say I'm inserting the data, so it will be a two row. Okay, fine. We will insert it when we need it. We don't need it immediately. So I have created this type and let me just import data dot text as, and I'll just expose the text type because we only need the text type. I will have I will add that package in the Cabal file types. Okay, it is giving us the error saying that fetch user by email lacks accompanying binding. Okay, fetch user by email here, fetch user by email. We will have email and we'll write the function here now. Then it is giving us error saying that text does not exist. Let's quickly import text data dot text and we will just have expose. We will just import the text type and it is saying that user does not exist. So I would say import uh, blog app dot types from which we have our user type ready. Now it is giving the error saying that insert user does not exist. So let's create that quickly. Insert user. Let's see what stuff it is taking. It is taking three things, I guess. Email, username, email, and password. So text, text, and text, and it is not returning anything. So I would say insert user, username, user email, and user password, and this would be undefined. Now this is an interesting error. It is saying that in our code, we are calling these functions, but the returning type of these function is IO unit, but our function from which these functions are getting called has the sort of return type as action m unit. So we need to lift them so into the action m type. So we need to use the function called lift IO. Same for insert user. Uh, and we need to have this inside bracket ambiguous variable. So the thing is, it is not able to understand what are the types of these guys. From param line number 19. What is this? User confirm password. So I'll just explicitly mention here that I want this to be a text type. And now obviously text does not exist. So let me just quickly import it. Okay, all good. So let's just write these query functions. So you can see I will open a connection. Here I need to give the full path of the database location. So I forgot actually what was the name. It is blog app db. Okay, this will give me the connection. And what I want to do is I need to fetch the list of users. So for that, there is a function called query. Let's take a look at it. So it will take the connection and it will take a query type, which is nothing but going to be a string type. A query is nothing but a type synonym for string, and it is going to take a queue. Now this queue is going to be some type. It can be a tuple of things as well, but it needs to have a two-row instance. But we can avoid that by just mentioning a tuple of certain values. That will also work fine. So let's do it. Let's write a query function that will take the connection and it will take the string. The string will contain select star from. Um, the table name is going to be users, where uh, it's going to be user email, user underscore email. is equal to question mark. And we will give the input email. Now it is going to give me a lot of errors. Let's see. First things is that it's not able to distinguish whether this I mean, it is expecting this to be query, but it is thinking that this is a string. For that, we need to have the overloaded string extension on. Oops. Okay, now it is saying that this text does not have a two row instance. So what we can do is we can send just a tuple, and it will just sort of whatever is the first value of the tuple to the first question mark, it will sort of replace it. But a tuple with a single value will not work. So for that, we need to wrap it inside this only type, and it will work fine. So it is giving me a different error saying that this it has sort of an ambiguous occurrence. Line number 10. For what it is giving, I'm not able. Okay, right. So this query should return something. If you take a look at here, uh, can you see query anywhere? Okay, so we need to explicitly mention what type it is returning. So we are returning a list of users. Okay, so list of user does not have a from row instance. So first of all, user list. So let's remove this error by creating a from row instance for our user type. Again, as I said, we don't need to explicitly write a from row instance. We can just say mention from row, and we can give it a generics. So both of these things does not exist. So I would import this. The next thing I would need to import is GHC generics. It should be generic. Okay, it is saying that you need to enable derive any class extension. So let's do that. Derive any class. Oops, language. Okay, all good. These are just warnings now. So we got the list. We just have to return this list. So I can just simply, yeah, I can simply just return this. But the problem is that I can't because I opened a connection. I should close it as well. So I'm going to say user list, and I'm going to say close connection, and then I'm going to return the list. Okay, defined but not used, query module. Okay, these things. So let's write this function as well. So I want to insert the data. So do again, open the connection. Then I'm going to close the connection. And then I need to do the insertion. So the query is going to look something like this. Insert into users. And I need to explicitly mention what fields. User name, user email, and user password. Okay, values, they're going to be question mark, and question mark. And in the tuple, I'm going to mention user name, user email, and user password. Okay. Now we use query, but when we use query function, we get something in return. So if you look at here, we will get something, some list of some type in return. We don't want that. So instead, we will use the execute function. Okay. So let's use execute because it will not return us anything. It will return basically the number of rows that got affected by executing this query. So execute, it looks like we are missing something. We are missing the connection. Okay, all good, no problem. It is just saying that define but not use user confirm password because we need that as a check. So first of all, we will check whether user exists or not. Then the next thing we want to do is inside here, we will have another check. We will check if user password is not equal to user confirm password. If that is the case, then we will send a text message saying that password not matching. Else, we will do the insertion operation and we will redirect to our home route. Yes, all good. Let's try that. I'm here on the home page. I went to register. I said, okay, now I will do the formal way. Okay, something went wrong. Let's see the error message. It's saying that there is an error near values. Looks like I made some mistake. Value spelling is wrong. No problem. Here, register. Okay, we went to our home page. It means that if we didn't go into our database and looked at our users, you can see the entry has been successfully inserted. Now, if I try to register the same table again, same user again, that is John, and then John, and it should give me an error. Uh, some error happened. So integer type conversion failed. Okay, that's interesting. Needed a text. Okay, I got it. So if we go into look, if we take a look at our type, we have username, email, password. But in our what do you can say table, we have four fields: user ID, name, email, and password. So let's just add an extra field that is user ID, which is going to be an integer. I forgot the comma. Okay, just go to home slash register. Um, okay, user email already exists. That is what we wanted. Just another thing I want to do is if I gave the different passwords, password not matching. So All is good. So far, we don't have any problem. Now what I want to do is, we created register. Now I want to do the login. So from where should we begin? Let's start from here. I need to have a login route, a get request of login, which will lead to uh, login R. This login R is will have the return type action and unit. Login R, it will give us an HTML page. We don't need this dollar sign. It will give us the login page. Go to HTML and create it. Login, text. Let's call it login page. And it will have everything same as register. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here. We have render markup body. First of all, I'm going to change the title from register to login. Same goes for button. I'm going to say login. We don't need confirm password. We don't even need username. We'll just have user email and password. And we are going to change the action. We are going to say, mm, let's just say login user. Okay. Um, let's write the route for it and let's discuss what we want to do here. So on the post of login user, it should call the function. Again, we don't need dollar here. Okay, let me just indent this. To the login user R. Action and login user R. So from login user as a form parameter, we will get two things. First of all, we'll get the email and we will get the password. The first thing we want to do is that we want to fetch the user. We can just take up this code, fetch user by email. If the user does not exist in a record, we cannot log in. We are going to give an error message saying that user does not exist. So case user list of, if it is empty, we will send a text message saying that user does not exist. Please register first. Um, Otherwise, if the data exists, we will take that and we will assume that since user email is going to be unique, we will be getting only one data. So I'm going to call it user from DB. This is going to be nothing but a user type. So what I want to do with this user type, we have user password, and inside our user type, we also have password. I want to check whether the user uh, password from our database is same as the password that has been provided from our client, from our login form. So how should we check it? You can just simply say user password equals, and just give an if condition, user password, user from DB, and in the type, we have it as user password. So it is going to give us an error. Let me just show you. Hmm. So let me just rename this as password because it is getting confused whether this user password is from password or not. And variable not in scope because it seems like we have not imported the user type. So I'm going to say import log app uh, types. Okay, cool. We did not get any error. So if password and user password are matching, then we will write some logic here. It's basically going to be sort of log in the user. If password are not matching, then I'm just going to say text uh, password is wrong. That's all. Let me have it this as undefined. So what should be the logic here? How should the user get logged in? How how should we insert the how should we create the whole login mechanism? So for that, we will be using JWT tokens. So let me just fire up Google. So what I want to do is once we get the password right, it means that the correct user is trying to log in. We will store the user ID um in uh, we will store the user ID in client's browser's cookies. Now we cannot store this user ID as a plain text. We don't want to show it directly. So we will encrypt that string using JWT tokens, and we will use a now bit info about JWT. So there is a library called Jose. Okay, so there is a library called JWT as well. Jose and JWT both are fine, but we will use JWT. So you can see with JWT, what happens is that we can encrypt any sort of data, any sort of string in sort of like an encrypted format like this. That we can also decrypt it using a secret text that we will have it on our server side only. Um, Once we were able to decrypt it, we have the user ID. And these cookies, whenever a user sends a request, we can use these cookies. This we can access the cookies, and from the access from these cookies, we can see whether we have the JWT string with us or not. So here is an example. There's a function called decode that takes the JWT string and checks if it is correct or not. It takes a maybe, gives us the maybe. If it is a nothing, it means that the verification has failed. And there's a verify as well, decode and verify. So decode we will use to get the data out of this JWT string. Basically, our user ID will be inside uh, this JWT string, and verify. We would like to verify using our secret key. There is also decode and verify. So we will be using this function, decode and verify. So first we'll try to decode it. If the decodation fails, that means if the string is wrong, then obviously it is it's not correct. Even if the we were able to extract the data, we will still try to verify it using our secret token, which would exist only on our backend side. So we can use this function. For that, I need to add the JWT package into our Cabal file, JWT, and in import, I would say import web dot JWT. As we will write the code, you will get a better idea on what I'm saying. So what I want to do here is I want to create the token. So you can create the token using this encode sign function, which will give us this encoded string. So let's just try to create the string encode sign, and we'll take three things: key, MMT, and CS. So the key is nothing but hmax secret, keypack, and the secret key. So let's do that. Let's create the key and make sure we should have a very long secret key, but for the sake of simplicity, we'll have something simple. So let me have this in do notation. Okay. So it is saying that t.pack does not exist. For that, let me just import data.text in a qualified manner. I need to give it the key sign. Qualified spelling is wrong. Again, it is wrong. Now it is correct. HMA secret. Oh, it should be HMA secret. Okay, CS not found. So CS is going to be looking something like this, where we will have our actual data here, and this. So this does not matter. I'm sorry. Here we would have a list where we would store our data. Okay, we are going to have a key value pair like this. So let's create this. Yes. So here the key value pair, I'm going to call it user ID, and here I will store the user ID, which is a from the user from DB, we will get the user ID. User from DB, user ID. Now it is saying map does not exist. So let's just, okay, we need to have a map, which is part of containers. So I'm going to say data dot map dot strict as map. It should be qualified. In our Cabal files, we need to add containers. Okay, it is saying that ASIN is missing. So let's add ASIN as well. ASIN is a JSON parsing library. So we can convert a JSON string into a Haskell type and vice versa. So it is saying that data.asn internal type value. It will give us a better error once I import data.asn. Okay, so here it should be a value that is an asn value. So let's just convert this into an asn value. Actually, we don't even need to convert this. We can just convert this into uh, a string first. So I'm going to have a show instance of it. Rather than that, let's go to async first and see what are the possible values for this. The value, it will not work. It needs to have some sort of value. Maybe number will work. Hmm, I guess I can say from integral, something like this. Yeah, it worked. So encode sign, it is, we need to do lift IO because we are in our action M monad. So match type, it returns a text. So I'm going to say let encoded string is equal to this. Perfect. Let's just try printing the encoded string. Encoded string and see what happens. Oh, need to do left IO. Okay, if we go here, we go to our login page. We have user email and ID. I'm going to say john@do.com. Go ahead. I'm going to type the password and it has stopped. It gave us an error because undefined is here. But if we look at just before undefined, we can see our encoded string. This is nothing but our um, uh, JWT string. So let me just copy it and go here into our JWT site and paste this in. Okay. Okay, just give me a second. Let me put Cabal run here. Let me on our local host, let me refresh, we send the data. I have to get the JWT string. Let's try decoding it. You can see on decoding, I have two things. This part does not matter. It is a sort of a header part. We can also skip it. The second thing is user ID, and we are getting the user ID here. So what I want to do is um, now I need to store this encoded string on the client browser's cookie. Okay. And then whenever a request gets hit, like the home or view blog or anything, from the cookies, we will try to access whether this token exists or not. If it exists, we will decode it. We will try to extract the user out ID out of it, and based on that user ID, we will determine what user is this. Okay, just like that, when we'll be creating user, we will also give it the permission of whether you are that user or not. If you are that user, you are the creator of that blog, you have the authority to delete that blog as well. Anyways, now we got the encoded string. We need to add that string into cookie. So Scotty provides an out of the box feature for cookies from the module called web Scotty cookie. So we can use this function set simple cookie. Uh, Set simple cookie. Let's see where it is. Make simple cookie. Where is it? Okay. It takes two texts, the name and the value, as in key value pair, and we can simply insert this cookie on the client's browser. So we need this module imported. I imported this, and I can just simply call this function make simple cookie with the value being what I want value I want to give. The key name. We can give it anything, doesn't matter. Uh, we can say JWT token, and we can give it the value as encoded string. Left IO we need to do set cookie. Oh, we need to say set simple cookie, not new cookie. Unexpected. We don't need to do left IO. Yeah. So yeah, that's really all we need to do while doing the login. Now we can just simply redirect to the home page. Now, an important thing that we should do is that we need to write a function that will sort of check whether any request that we are getting in that request is cookie, do we have this JWT token? If it exists, can we extract out the user ID from it? So let's try to write that function. I'm going to call it get auth. That will give us a maybe user type. That is, if the user we are able to extract out the user ID from it, we will we will write a query that will give us the user, and we will return that user. So I'm going to say get auth user. So if the obviously if the user is not there, it is going to return nothing. So let's see what we can do. Uh, Obviously, it's not going to be a maybe type. So we need to call in the Scotty functions, Scotty basic specific functions. So it needs to be wrapped inside action n. So first of all, there is a get cookie function. We can just type in the key name, and it will give us uh, uh, the value of it. So I'm going to say get cookie, and the key name is JWT token. Now, before we get into this, I just quickly need to verify that that the cookie is getting actually created when I do the login. So I'm here in localhost. I resend it, and I'm on the home page. And if we go here in our storage, you can see the JWT cookie is here. That's really great. Okay, so yeah, the cookie is here. Now we want to write a function that will uh, extract the cookie and extract the user ID from it, and give us the user if the user ID is valid. So from the cookie, we will get a I would say encoded string. Again, it is wrapped in a maybe type encoded string. If we return now, I will do a case matching here. M encoded string of. If it is a nothing, it means that I just return another thing, because it means that the user is definitely not logged in if the cookie itself does not exist. If the cookie exists, we got the encoded string. Now we need to decode it. So how to decode that string? In our JWT, we have the function decode and verify signature. So decode and verify signature. To verify, we will give pass in our secret. and we will pass in the input that is nothing but the encoded string. So let's just use this function. Instead of input, it should be encoded string. Uh, and here the secret key should be same as secret key that we have used here, that is keyboard cat. And this will return us an M, that is a maybe type, let MJWT. And let's just print this M. We can do the case matching here again. MJWT of, if it is a nothing, it means that either decoding or verification of the signature must have failed. Either way, it means that the cookie, the JWT token is not valid. We should discard it. So we will return again a nothing. It means the user is not logged in. Otherwise, we got something. We got the signature. So, all right. So I'm just looking. So decode is giving us a verified JWT. There was giving us the signature, which I didn't get. So we have we have this MJWT. Okay. So let's just print what exactly is this MJWT, right? So I go here and say print JWT, and let's just say undefined until this point. JWT. I need to do lift IO. Uh, I'll just do cabal REPL, and let's see what is the blog app.core. Let's just import blog app.core, and let's call this function get auth user. Um, yeah. Rather than calling this function, what we can do is we have the encoded string with us. That is this. I'm not able to grab it. So, yeah. So I have this variability string with me. What I can do is I can do cabal REPL. I can import uh, web.jwt, and I will try to basically call out this function. Mm, okay, let me just import qualified data.text as p, and let me just copy this function, and here I will have my JWT string, We'll just paste this in and expected text, but got string. So let me just have the extension called overloaded string. Okay. So you can see that I'm getting a maybe value inside of which I have this verified, then Jose header, um, lots of stuff. But I only care about this JWT claim set, inside of which I have again a lot of stuff. Then I have claims map under inside unregistered claims. I have this claims map where I have this unclaims map sort of an unwrapper, inside of which I have this user ID. So let me just do one thing. Let me get this inside an X and let's see how can we grab it. Uh, Maybe I should be able to do a pattern match here. Yeah, I was able to do a pattern match. So I have this verified type. Now, how to get inside of this thing? So you can take a look at here. I can do an fmap and claims. So if I did fmap claims on X, hmm, okay, this will not work. All right, we got a little bit of breakthrough. So what I can do is we can have this decode and verify signatures. I put this into an X variable, and I tried doing an fmap claims on it, which gave us the claim set that we need. So from this claim set, I need this unregistered claim. So what I will do is I'm going to say X is equal to Y and try hitting unregistered claims on Y. Uh, okay, I need to do an fmap. Yeah. And then I can just simply again hit unclaims map. And this will give me uh, a from list. This is going to be a container basically um, from a map. So I can use a lookup function here that will sort of give me the user ID. So it's a long process, but we can get there. It's not a big problem. So what I want to do is fmap claims. This will give me mjwt. Again, it can be nothing, so I will return nothing. If it is um, a just value, what I can do is I can do unregistered claim on it. Unregistered claims on JWT, then unclaims map on it again. We don't need to do fmap because we are extracting out the maybe shell. And then I want to do a map dot lookup on it on the user ID. Okay. So again, this is going to give me a maybe because lookup function gives us the maybe. So let's just think of it as res. Okay, so far so good. Case res of. Um, so again, it can be nothing because we might fail on getting this user ID lookup. So you are nothing. Just if we get the user ID. Again, this user ID will be inside the ASIN number type. So we will do this. Okay. So let's just print the user ID for now. Yeah, we cannot really print it. Uh, so yeah, we got the user ID here. Now all we have to do is just call a function that will give us the user ID. So let me just create a function called fetch user by ID. Now we give it the user ID. So it will give you the user list. Um, so the thing is, this is inside the user type. This is an ASIN value, which is going to be scientific. So we need to convert. So let me have this as user ID underscore. And let me convert this into a user ID. Uh, so this is going to be, if we go and take a look at ASIN and value type. So we have data value here. The number will have this scientific type. And for us to convert the scientific type into an integer, not this, uh, we need to use a function called, uh, what is it? Bounded integer. Yes, this bounded integer. It will give us a maybe integer value. So we will use this, but again, it is going to give us a maybe value. So we again need to convert it into a maybe value. So I'm going to use a from maybe. I'm going to say zero value because if we use the zero user ID, it is going to give us an empty user list anyways. So we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to say to bounded integer user ID. Yeah. So if the user ID is user list of, if it is empty, it means that the particular user ID does not exist in our database. We are going to give nothing. Otherwise, if we got the user, we are going to return just that, just user. Okay, from maybe does not exist. It is part of data.maybe. Two bounded integer also does not exist because it is part of scientific. So I'm going to say data dot scientific, and scientific we also need to add it in our cabal file. Okay, we got an error. Not really looking it. So user ID underscore should be there. Okay, fetch user and just should be capital. Okay, the only error is fetch user by ID function does not exist. So let's quickly create one. Fetch user by ID. It will take an integer and it will return an IO list of users, just like fetch user by email. Oops. So we'll have fetch user by ID and user ID. Here we are going to say user ID, user ID. Cool. The error went away. We just need to change, we just need to add lift IO here and this will work. So yeah, this is a long and weird code, but yeah, it seems it will work. So let's try using it in our get homar route. So what I will do is I will say Um, I'm going to call get auth. Oops, get auth user, and it is going to give me a maybe user type. So is end user of. If it is a nothing, I'm going to say hello user. If it is some user, then I'm going to say text welcome back um, username from the user file. So it needs to be a lazy variant. So how to convert a text into its lazy variant? Let's see. So we have the lazy internal. We don't want internal. Internal. Okay, text lazy is there. I want to convert text into its lazy variant. So we have pack to strict. Okay, from strict function is there that takes the strict variant of lazy and converts it into the lazy variant. So I'm going to have it as TL data text dot lazy, and I'm going to say TL from strict. Yes, all good. So I'm going to say cabal run. It is running. If I go into our home directory, you can see the token is there and it says welcome. Not by welcome by John, but it should say welcome John. So yeah, now we are able to identify whether it is logged in or logged out. If I delete the cookie, yeah, and if I hit refresh, it is saying hello user. It means that we are able to identify whether the user is logged in or not. Uh, okay, so yeah, we cracked this. We cracked basically the most difficult part. Now it's going to be a very smooth sail. On our homepage, so let's write a page to add a post to add a blog. So I'm going to have we had register, we had login, have a page to add the blog. So I'm going to say add blog. The function, the corresponding function will be add blog. Let's add it. Add blog R. By the way, if you followed this tutorial so far, thank you so much. Please like and share this video. Also, comment what sort of if you want to go more in detail on this project or what else types of tutorials would you like to see. So I'm going to call the function HTML. Um, let's say add blog page. Let's create this add blog page in our HTML module. Add blog page. So I don't want to copy this as it is, but so render markup, HTML, register. Instead of register, it should be add blog. There is going to be a post request, which would be not add user, but add blog. So I will have the title. which would be a text. Its name is going to be blog title, and then the label is going to be content, where I will not have an input type, but I would like to have text area. So let's create the text area. It's going to be text area, and I'm going to give it the name as blog content, and we need to have some value inside it. Okay, all good. Submit. I'm going to say add blog. Okay. Um, yeah, we don't need to check. So I'm going to write a add blog post request. So there's going to be a post request called add blog, which will go to add blog. I'm going to call it P. P stands for post, I guess. And I have action M, add blog P to. Now we will take out. Now this is an important thing. M, we will use the get or user function to fetch the M user. Okay. If the user does not exist, is M user of nothing. If the user does not exist, we will just redirect. We are not going to redirect to home. We are going to say, please log in first. Otherwise, if we have the user, I guess it's going to be just user. Otherwise, if we have the user, we will use its user UID to insert, which we will be inserting inside our uh, uh, table. So from form data, from form param, we will be taking out blog title. The second thing is going to be blog content. So blog title and blog content. So we have these two things. We also have the user ID with us. All we have to do is just insert these three things into the SQLite table. So let's write a function that will take these three arguments and store it inside the table. So I'm going to say insert block, and we will give it three things. We'll give it the user ID from our user uh, type that we got from our JWT token, then blog title and blog content. So we will just insert it, and finally we'll just redirect to our home page. Insert blog. Now let's write that query. Insert blog. It will take three things. It will take an integer, it will take a text, and it will take another text, and it will return nothing, which is going to be IO unit. Insert blog, user ID, blog title, and blog content. So it's going to be an execute query, insert into, very much like insert user. I go here, I'm going to open the database, I'm going to close it, inside of which there will be an insert query, insert into blogs, where we will have blog ID we don't need, we need blog title, then we need blog content, and finally we need user ID. These three things, which are going to be blog title, blog content, and finally user ID. It is giving us error saying that we need to do lift IO here. Okay, all good. So I just need to make sure whether this query will work or not because we don't really have a way to verify it. So blog ID, blog title, blog content. Uh, this is defaulted to current timestamp, user ID. Okay, all look, everything looks good. Let's see. Uh, Let me just run. So I went to add blog. Okay, let's give it. Oh, please log in first. This is good. We hadn't logged in, so I'm going to say go to login page, sean@do.com. I'm going to log in. So it's saying welcome back. So now let's go to add post. Sorry, add blog. Let's add it. Query param blog content. Uh, okay, we need to fix the name. So if we go into HTML, it is block content, but in our core, we are expecting block content with C capital. It's fine, it's a small typo. So let me just go back, hit this again. Welcome back. We went to our home page, and if we look at our database, let's start from blogs. We can see our data is getting inserted with the current timestamp as well. So now all we have to do is we need to give the user an ability to sort of uh, first on our home page we should be able to see all the blogs that are there in our table, and if the given blog is part of basically it is created by the same user that is logged in, we need to give an option of deleting it, so we can delete the user as well. So let's try that. Um, on our home route, home R, instead of the whole welcome back thing, what we will do is, again, we don't have to check whether it is user logged in or not. We don't have to do that. I'm going to say fetch all blogs left IO, and I'm going to get a blog list. And I'm going to call a function called homepage. I'm going to send it the home list, and it will basically print the entire blog list. So let's go to, so let's write that HTML page, home page. It will take two things. It will take a list of blog and it will return a text. Home page dash define. It will give an error saying that blog does not exist. So let's create the type blog data. Blog is equal to blog. It will contain blog ID, which will be an integer. Then it will contain blog title, which will be text, then blog content, which would be again a text. Um, then what is it? Timestamp. Fine. We'll just call it timestamp, which would be UTC time. We need to import date time for this. Um, and finally, we need the user ID. User ID, which is also going to be an integer. So I'm going to say deriving EQ show from row. Yeah, we are going to need from row and generic. So it has multiple declaration user ID in types. So for this, we need to add an extension called duplicate record fields. It is saying UTC time does not exist. So for that, I need to import a library called datetime, data.time, and it is part of time package. So let's add that in a Cabal file. Okay, again, blog not in scope because we need to import common types in our HTML page. So I'm going to say blog app dot types, and it is interesting. It is giving us an error saying that uh, there is an ambiguous occurrence of user ID. Now, in order to avoid it, so it is in core line number 75. Hmm, interesting. So this user ID is causing the problem. Now, an easier way for us is to say this as user ID, and it will give us an error, fetch all blocks, and at line number 75, we just need to convert this user ID into uh, user ID. And we also need to convert this. I don't know what this user ID is getting referred as. It should be user ID as well. I don't know why it is not showing me that error, but fine. So we are here, fetch all blogs. Let's write this query. Uh, fetch all blogs, fetch all blogs, which is it is going to give us a list of blog. Here's the connection. Oops. So just like user list, I'm opening the connection, closing the connection. It's going to be a blog list. Let's start from blogs, and we don't want anything here. We need to mention here as it is the list of blog and blog list. We don't want any question mark or any where clause here. So for this, we cannot use query. We need to use query underscore function. It is basically same as query, but it does not take any extra type that in order to get marshaled into the query string. Block title variable not in scope. So query line number 30. Here, anything happened? Okay, cool. So in our core, uh, homepage blog post line number 21, it should be inside HTML. Okay, all cool. It is working. Now we just need to create the HTML page. I don't know if we have, yeah, we have not created it. We have blog list. So I just want to show all the list, show them as a list format. So I need to use an unordered map. So if we go and look at text blaze, now if we take a look at the text blaze HTML documentation, we might find an example. Yes, you can see here it is UL mapm li, and we can give pass it a list to convert it into two markup and everything. So we can use that in our code. So it's going to be an HTML type. First of all, we need to do render markup to HTML to body to HTML H1 blogs, and then this. So here it is going to be blog list and map m. So what I want to do is I will be taking each and every block. Let's see what is expected here. Variable not scope, render markup. Okay, then we do this. Okay, fine. I'm just going to say blog title of blog. Yeah, it is working fine. So I can just print a list of all the blogs here. So if I go here, I went in the home page. You can see I'm getting the list of all the blogs that are there. So that is a great thing. The next thing that I want to do is um, if that particular blog is the blog that I get created, I need to have a button next to it uh, for deleting the blog. So let me just put this whole thing inside one div so I can have multiple things there. This will not cause any problem. It should be h.div. Okay, block title to markup. Then I need to have case condition. So in our on our home page, I will be sending maybe user type. It will give me an error and user. Yeah, I need to send the user from here. So we can use our m user. So get auth user from m user, and we can pass that m user here. Okay, great. So we can have that delete functionality here. We are going to do a case matching. If m case m user of, first of all, if it is a nothing, then we don't have to do anything. We'll just say m empty. If there is a user and the user's user ID, if user's user ID is equal to blog's user ID, then mmempty empty else mmempty. I just want to type check spelling mistake. Okay, it is perfect, no problem. So if the user is there, if the blog's user ID and the logged in user IDs are the same, I want to have uh, a delete button or more like a delete link. So should be h.a tag href uh, slash delete slash the um, ID. So I need to give it the blog ID as well. I need to concatenate it. So how to concatenate the user, the blog ID of the blog. Let's see. Uh, let's play the markup. I think we are forgetting something. Okay, cool. So we need to convert this blog ID into an attribute value in order to concatenate with this slash delete ID. So let's see how it can be done. I guess there is a thing called to attribute in not in Blaze. No? I guess it's to value. Yeah. So there is a function that converts any type into an attribute value. So we will use this function. Okay, it is working. Let's do a cabal run and let's go to our home page. Interesting. Uh, oh, I must have forgot to log in. No, I have logged in, it seems. I'm not sure why I'm not able to see the. Oh, right. Uh, here, this is the link, and I need to add the basically the text for that link. Delete. So if I go here, I can see the delete. Let me just give it some space or something. Mm, not sure if it will work. Okay, it worked. So if I click on this, I will get to a get request of delete and one, and it should delete the blog, and it should also do the validation that okay, the blog ID that I'm getting, the blog exists. If it exists, the user ID that is there, it should be the same user ID that is logged in. So let's try that. Let's write the route for that. get slash delete slash ID. It's going to be blog ID. It's going to be delete blog R. Delete blog R. This is the function that will return action m IO unit. Delete blog R. The very first thing that we want to check is whether a user is logged in or not. Get auth user. Let it be m user. Let's do case matching. M user off. If it is nothing, it means the user is not logged in. There is no point doing anything. We'll just to redirect to our home page. Otherwise, if user exists, uh, then what we want to do is we want to take the blog ID from the path param. So I will say path param blog ID. From here, I will get the blog ID and fetch blog by ID. I will write this SQL function blog ID. This will give me a blog list. Again, I will do a pattern match. Is blog list of nothing if the no database, no record of this blog based on its ID. If nothing exists, I will just say I will just redirect to home page. Otherwise, if the block exists, it's not going to be a nothing, it's going to be an empty list. We are getting a list, list block. Now we want to do a check that is uh, user. So user ID. If user ID is equal to user ID of the block that we just got. If that is the case, then I'm just simply going to call delete blog by ID with the blog ID left IO, and I'm going to redirect to home page. Else, uh, I'm just directly going to redirect to home page. Okay, so let's just write these two SQL functions, fetch block by ID, fetch block by ID. It will take an integer that is going to be the block ID, and we will get return a list of blocks. Block by ID. It's going to be block ID to import as fetch all blogs, blog list, query. I will have a where condition here where blog ID is equal to question mark, list only blog ID. And yeah, that's all we need. Then delete blog by ID. We will be taking an integer and we will be returning IO unit. Delete blog by ID, blog ID. We will use execute here, copied, pasted here. In execute, there will be delete from blogs where blog ID is equal to question mark. Inside the tuple, we will have only blog ID. Yeah. Everything is compiling. It means it must be working. Let's try running it. Let me refresh. Let me delete this. And it seems like it gave us an error. Let's see. Unhandled exceptions will have return error while attempting to do repair delete from blogs where blog ID. No such table blocks. Interesting because this is wrong. For some reason, this became small case. Uh, must have typed some query or something like that. No problem. Let me just quickly check whether everything else is correct or not. Okay, let's rerun this. Let's go to home page. Click on delete. You can see the blog has been deleted. Yeah, so it's been a long video. I think that's it for this video. In our next part, we will revamp the UI and add some more functionalities into our full stack application. Thank you for watching this. Please subscribe to this channel for more Haskell videos. Please like, please comment below what you would like to see my channel improving and what more sort of videos you would like to see. Thank you and bye.